Hello, welcome to the WBC podcast. We're still playing with the name, the green and gold, the ring around the world, the neutral corner. Anyway, once we have a final name, we will post it like that. So, Jill Diamond, the chair of WBC Cares, the co-chair of the WBC Women's Committee, and most importantly, the heart and soul of the WBC, and Christiane Manzur, the chair of WBC Cares in Mexico, most importantly, my wife.
Oh my.
So Jill demanded to the podcast to see what it is like to have our life in a personal, professional, and boxing wise. So it's all yours.
Oh
I'm
my.
part of this side now.
All right. My Mexican power couple.
Wow.
Here we go. So, you've been married for how long?
24.
24 years.
Got it right. Ooh.
Bien.
Good work. Good
Good
work. And later in your marriage, I mean, Mauricio, you've always been involved in boxing. You grew up in boxing. Chris, it came later to you. And you found your interest in boxing in a different way, in the more humanitarian and philosophical way of boxing. How do you feel working together? Because there are times that you have to collaborate and your personal life has to get mixed into your professional life. How do you work through those things? How do you work through the obstacles? Who wins in the end?
Who wins? I don't know.
She talks first, so she will.
Go ahead, Chris.
I think Mauricio wins most of the time, though I win also because I have become part of this fabulous family and this fabulous group, which is the World Boxing Council. At the beginning, when I met him, I had never seen a boxing match before. Never, ever. I didn't even know who the referee was or who the fighter was. I had never seen boxing. Then I started dating him, and my life
No,
started.
but we met in a blind date.
Yes, it
Okay.
was a blind date.
And what did you think of him at first?
I did not like him.
What changed your mind?
He was very smart.
Was?
Well, you have always been very smart. You are a gentleman. He has always been like that. So, well, I started liking him, and in the end, I'm in love with him. I'm in love with boxing. I'm in love with the WBC and with the WBC Cares. So I believe he won.
You know, a friend of mine called me. No, I met him in the airport by coincidence. I was waiting for my father to come out. A friend from college comes out. His girlfriend is there to pick him up, and it was Christian's cousin, Lebanese. So I tell her, hey, you have to introduce me to a sister, a cousin, someone. I need a
Partner.
Lebanese partner, a
Partner.
girlfriend. 4 months went by, nothing. And then a Saturday, he called me. He says, we have the date for you. I give her a call. We spoke on the phone for 1 month without meeting. And during that month, you were watching a fight. I was in Japan for a fight, and she's watching the fight with her grandmother.
Trying to find him
So tell
sitting
you.
there because there was no social media, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no way to track him down.
So, did you know what he looked like? or
No,
anything?
never. I just
Okay.
the first time I saw him, it was at my house when he came to pick me up that blind date. So I was watching the fight. Grandma was sitting there with me, and she was like, "Who is Mauricio?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "I bet he's the one on top of the ring. Tell him to get down. He might get knocked down."
She thought I was the referee.
Thought
my
he was a
God.
referee. He didn't like me at that beginning. You didn't like me either.
Is that true, Mauricio?
Yes, that is
I
true.
fell
now.
in love in the second date.
Well, see, that's not
What
the beginning.
happened in the first date that didn't make it gel?
No, when we used to speak on the phone, she would talk 90% of the time for 1 month. When we met, we went to have a coffee and cake, and I spoke the whole time. She was just looking at me like, who is this?
Blind date,
Blind
they're
date.
not easy.
But then time went by, and it was through boxing that I was able to get to Christian because one day she says, please don't call me anymore. I don't want to see you anymore. You're a nice
Oh my
person, but we're not getting anywhere. Please don't call me. And I could not believe it. I thought she was in love with me. I said, even as a friend, no, please don't. So my father got surgery at UCLA. I went to Los Angeles. I came back, and her mother tells her, you gotta call him. He's your friend. Call him to see how he's your father. Then
So he called me.
you call me.
I mean, I call you because
All right.
because there was chocolate coming to my house. He sent some chocolate to my house, even though I told him never to call again. So I was going to call him to ask how his father was, and of course, thank him for the lovely chocolate he sent. And he thought I was calling because I had regretted telling him to step back. So he said, well, now that you're calling me, why don't we watch the fight that we were supposed to watch before anything of this happened? And this was Evander Holyfield against Tyson, the one with the ear. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that was my first
Boxing experience.
boxing experience.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Before she broke, we said, there's a fight, we're going to watch it. So when she calls me and said, you had agreed to watch this Saturday the fight at my house. Let's do it. Okay, pick me up.
And there was no way out.
So it was my house full and the crazy happening. So
So from that day, I was in boxing and I haven't been out. So once you're in, you're never out.
Yes,
And
that's true.
I have to tell that I have been very good advised by some people. I won't mention whom, that have told me to stay by his side, because there is either you stay or you go. It's a very difficult world. The boxing is a difficult
Very
world.
difficult.
He's always, most of the time, he's absent from the house, and it hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been boring. It has been great. So I have chosen, due to so good advice, that I want to be by his side, and I will support him. And now I'm in boxing. I love boxing.
And Mauricio, how does that make you feel, knowing that you have to travel all the time and leave your family behind? You have 3 beautiful children and your wife. What does that do to you?
It's very difficult because I went through the same as a kid. My father had to travel the world ever since I can remember. At that time, there was not even cell phone, not even fax, no computers, nothing. So he had to travel, and he was lonely, lonesome. My mother was a great mom, and she kept the family unity. So when my father would be at home, everything would be beautiful. So I know as a kid what it is to have the father absent. And I know, watching my mother, loneliness.
Right.
So it's a very complicated situation, but I've found in Christiane the unique partner to walk with me and ahead of me to motivate me.
And what advice would you have for other couples that face that?
Well, I would have to say, especially to women in boxing, that if you're in here for the glamorous part and the fancy part of it, you're in the wrong place. You have to be here as a partner, and to understand they have to work, and you have to be by their side, and to find your own way into this beautiful world that boxing can provide to you.
And now you have one son who loves boxing, teenager, who practices all the time. How does that make you feel? And do you want him to go on to be a professional boxer? What is your thoughts about him?
Well, they are all so different that we have supported all of them in the things they like. I will support Mauricio as much as this has, boxing has changed his life.
Mauricio Jr.
Yes, in a good way. So if he wants to be part of it, of course he will be part of it. I don't know what.
Well, it put me in a huge. I did train for all many years. I've been punched in the face, but I've been
But not by
watching.
Chris.
I've been watching. Oh no. She threw one melon one time, but
Yes, I did.
I caught it.
That is true. I was very mad.
One time, when my son, I saw him in the ring doing sparring with a bloody nose. Huge effect on me.
How so?
Because I've been watching boxing all my life, but then I see my son bleeding. So that one little side that I had never expected, that I was missing from boxing, filled in the space. Boxing has changed his life from a rebel, bad behaved, even spoiled kid, to a very hardworking, dedicated, respectful, motivated, disciplined kid.
You know, a lot of couples, it's very difficult. I mean, you have your separate paths in boxing, but then you come home, you have the kids there, you have your everyday life. It puts a lot of pressure on the relationship. I mean, there's a lot you have in common, but there's also a lot of pressure. How do you disconnect from
Well,
that?
I don't have an everyday life. It's every single day is different. And same with Chris. She has the responsibility of the education, keeping the house completely functional, administering everything in the house, while I am in Japan, in Australia, in London, in Mexico, leaving early, coming back late, or coming back from a trip exhausted, staying at home, and she's not used for me to be at home, so I need a coffee, or I need this and this and this. So it's a very complicated scenario because we're not a normal functional.
No, but I want to ask you the one question that's difficult, that you don't have to answer. You're in a business that suggests a lot of people who have a lot of crazy lifestyles. You're traveling all the time, you're with the kids all the time. How do you keep the trust?
Phew.
We just keep the trust.
I mean, I knew I was gonna marry Christiane on the second date. I knew that for some reason, and
But
there,
you still haven't answered the question. How do you keep the trust?
I'm trying to go to that because it is something that you cannot. It's like loyalty. It's no description of it. You either are loyal or not. You are either honorable or not. And I same as you, receive good advice. The key for a marriage or for any relationship is mutual respect, understanding. If you do not respect and do not understand, and you are not willing to sacrifice in some matters in order to get others, it has to be a completely balanced negotiation, if you want to put it in that word. But I trust Christiane with everything, and I have never felt the least threat of any wrongdoing in any shape or matter from her, all to the contrary. So
Christiane?
I try not to look for something I don't want to see. So I just trust him, and I'm not keeping track of where he is or what he's doing. I trust him. I know
Well,
the
but
only
you put
thing
me-
he does not trust me with is with money, because every time he leaves the money there,
oh my God,
there he won't trust me.
she's a vacuum. I mean, I come home and I put my wallet and some coins.
I
They're
love
gone.
Forget it.
They're gone. But
Go.
stealing from the husband, that's okay.
That's okay. And how has your formal position in Cares changed the relationship? I mean, you are not just Mauricio's wife. You are respected for what you do in the organization on your own. How has that changed your life?
For me, I believe it has been the best thing I have ever done. And I know Don Jose knew it, because being part of his life in this way has kept me close to him. I know everyone around. I try to be part of everything, and staying home all of the time wouldn't have helped me. So now that I travel with him and that I know all of you people who are great to me, most of them are great to me, it has helped me stay close to him. So I believe that was a great choice, being part of the organization in this way, not in the way that, what he does. This is very different from what he does, right?
Yes,
but
it
in the
is.
end, it is the same organization. So being part of it has helped a lot.
So I have one last question. What do you think your legacy as a couple will be to other people who are watching? What advice would you have?
My kids, our kids, when they see Jose graduated with honors, summa cum laude or
Summa cum laude.
cum laude from Northeastern, and when they see Valeria as a fashion queen, as she's studying very hard, and little Mauricio with such charisma, I think he's gonna be a business administrator or a movie producer
Or
or
a
something.
lawyer, maybe.
Or a lawyer. It's through our kids that our legacy, at least in my opinion.
I think there is one more thing. We are, as people look at us, I want them to know that it is possible. Like we say in Spanish, sí se puede. You can be part and you can be a partner and you can still be a couple and you can still be parents, and there is no need to get rid of everything if you don't like it. You can be there. There's compromise and it won't hurt
I like that. And you learn from each other
a lot.
a lot.
Well,
It's the
you,
balance.
like Jill, like you, Mr. Honda, Kemi, so many dear people from the boxing community that are part of our lives. So that's a balance, because as you say, the WBC is a huge family, and that's where we lean on at certain times.
And then Jill, you yourself, you had a beautiful marriage for so long. So it's possible, right?
It's absolutely possible. My husband traveled a lot and I traveled a lot, but you know when you feel that connection.
Yeah.
It's that connection. That person walks in the room and you go, that's my person.
That's my
We don't know what causes that, but it's a beautiful thing. Yours is more challenged by the business that you're in and the fact that you are working together, living together, raising children who are still at home. That's a big plate. That's a big plate, but you do it beautifully. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for talking with me. If there's anything you want to add, please.
Thank you.
Anything?
How about a hug? Ah!
A hug to her. We should hug her.
Now you can say goodbye to the podcast, close it up.
It's been a privilege to speak to one of the most beautiful, evolving, and trusting couples in any sports medium. So thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Christiane, for being so open-hearted and so authentic with the people who are watching us. And everyone else out there, there's a Mauricio and a Christiane out there for you too. Open your hearts, go for it, and keep boxing.